Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 109. I thought that was a thing. Recorded on August 26, 2020. From Zenatta Consulting, I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt, and let's get right on into the news.
All right. Well, we're short and week. I'm kind of heading out on some adventures this week, taking off on vacation. So we're recording this on a Thursday evening. So we're going to miss out on, I guess, a day and a half of news. We normally record it on Friday morning. But believe it or not, Zoho just had a ton of news already this week. First of all, they received their ISO 27701 certification, which is related to privacy and information systems. It's kind of interesting. We actually had a customer recently that required getting copies of some of these certificates, and one of them they made public. The other one, you actually have to sign an NDA with Zoho in order for them to release some of their ISO certifications to you. But it's interesting that they continue to kind of go down this road of getting these ISO certifications, and their commitment to privacy keeps on going down the road.
Yeah, it's kind of always been one of the key things that they talk about is just, not wanting to treat your data like their data, right? That they want to keep everything, private and secure. And, they actions speak louder than words, and they keep up to date with all these certifications to maintain that.
Yeah, and then Zoho Writer has now added true offline mode. Now, I'm not sure what this meant as relation to before, where maybe it was fake offline mode, but it's real offline. So if you're offline, you can continue to work, you can continue to do things. It's going to save it. Then once you get back online, it's going to go ahead and sync everything up for you. So, Google Docs has this, and Office 365 Online has this as well. I thought that Writer had an offline mode prior to this, but I guess maybe it wasn't a real, true offline mode. It says they've kind of taken it up a notch. So good stuff.
Yeah, and so kind of one of the key things is, if you're in the middle of doing something, right, the internet goes out, you have a quick Wi-Fi drop, you're not going to lose all of your progress. And this functionality does work on the browser as well as on mobile. So if you're ever doing any document management or working on anything on your mobile device, you're going to be safe if you do have any internet outages.
So you're right. That's a big advantage here. So you don't actually have to start off in offline mode then. You can actually be online, you lose connection, and you're not going to lose anything. So exactly. That is a little different than some of the others that are out there. So kudos. That's nice. I imagine if it's in Writer, we will see it in, hopefully, all of their other Office apps down the road, I would imagine.
Yep.
Boy, if they could extend this to CRM, that'd be quite the killer, huh? I don't know if that could ever happen or not.
Well, they have it in Creator. You can be in a Creator app offline, and it limits some of the functionality. So you can't use like certain workflow rules or certain lookup fields where it's going to be querying other parts of the database. But in Creator, they have a pretty robust set of offline tools. So they've got the trick down. It just would be when they want to roll that over to CRM.
All right, then moving on, Zoho has done something pretty cool here. They actually launched a full-blown website, and they're calling it Full On Recruiter. And it is all about the things you need if you are in recruitment. And they've got a podcast that's associated with it. And you can subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. They've got, Spotlight, where they're, basically highlighting everything you want to do about recruiting using with top recruiters that are out there. They've built a blog they've got 7, looks like they've got, I don't know, quite a few here, 7, 8, 9, 10 blogs already, just all kind of at the launch of this thing. They've done a nice job. And then they're asking people, hey, come help us out. If you're a recruiter, you want to be a guest blogger, you want to do a podcast interview with us, click here. We're ready to collaborate with you and get going. So pretty nice, their commitment with Zoho Recruit and all of the interesting things they've been doing with Zoho Recruit lately. And now kind of, creating a whole dedicated recruiting website. I think it's a really nice plan.
Yeah, and they've kind of been doing this with a couple of their applications lately, is creating those kind of content banks for them. It was just a couple weeks back. I know we were looking at another application where they rolled this out. Was it Backstage? Is everything about events and event management. They kind of
Yes,
created a little
exactly.
offshoot website where it was related to Backstage, but it was kind of its own little suite of things that you should know for event management and event marketing.
Yep.
So really cool to see them kind of dig in and create a bunch of content around some of these key applications.
The only thing about this is it's a little different in that it's, you know, it's just it's a website dedicated to recruitment in general. It is at the bottom. It does say powered by Zoho Recruit, but still, good job. I mean, all the way around. I'm pretty impressed. All right, and then moving on here. Oh wow, this is just so huge. So Zoho has now added automation credits to Zoho Sign. If you are a Zoho One user or a Zoho Sign user, and you're actually just using Zoho Sign directly, so you upload a document to Zoho Sign, or in the CRM, or you're in Writer and you say I want to send with Sign, and you're directly logged into Zoho Sign. It doesn't really use any of these automation credits. It just works, and you've kind of got this truly unlimited ability to send as much as you want. But if you're using any kind of third-party apps, even ones written by Zoho, for example, Zoho has a Zoho Sign for Gmail app. And so if you're reading, you've got an email from somebody, it's Gmail, you see they've sent you an NDA. You can just click the Sign app and it just looks and it says, well, there's only one document here. Even if there's 3 or 4, which one do you want to send to Zoho Sign? You click, you go to Zoho Sign. It puts you into Zoho Sign. You can go through the entire process, set it all up, fill it up, and sign it. But then when you go to send, it'll tell you that you don't have any credits, because none of this works unless you buy automation credits. And so it's kind of one of these weird things. Well, they're solving that now, and they're actually giving you they're giving you credits, and it's pretty nice, quite frankly. You get 10 automation credits for each licensed Zoho Sign user, up to a cap of 500 credits. So it's quite a lot. If you've got 10, I can't imagine I'm sending more than, on an individual basis. It's 1 credit for send and 1 credit for receive back on a sign. But that would be 5 documents for each user, kind of outside of just using Zoho Sign, using one of these automations. So I think it's pretty nice. I'm kind of glad they did that. It's definitely something that they needed to do, because it was just killing even their own third-party applications that they were writing, because they were just not functional.
Yeah, and I mean, even when you would integrate through like Zoho Deluge or Zoho Flow previously, you'd kind of just get stonewalled. And so they've kind of rolled this out where, you're getting them with Zoho One, you're getting them with Zoho Sign. If you're a heavy user, you may need to purchase some more to kind of keep the wheels greased as you're running these automations. I know that one thing I would like to see them do is maybe do a special rate on these credits for Zoho One users, or kind of give them some type of discount, because the credit price is pretty high, especially if you look at some of the competitors. So I would like to see them kind of do something around that, so that people using Zoho One can purchase these at a cheaper level. But at least now you're able to build out these integrations. And if you're not doing a ton of volume, you're probably safe under these limits,
Yep.
On a month-to-month basis.
Yeah, they're saying it's a nominal amount, but I think for most organizations that are just trying to use, like you say, basic stuff, I think they'll be fine. But it can get definitely going to get crazy if more than that. All right, and then hey, analytics got some updates, Tyler. Some new charts, and then some advanced analytics for both Instagram as well as for Sage
Yeah. ERP. Yeah, so definitely some nice integrations. I mean, they're pretty powerful in what they have for these social media platforms now. So they've got integrations for Twitter, for LinkedIn ads, for Facebook ads, right? A lot of Google ads too. They kind of have a lot of those running now. So Instagram's nice to add into that suite. A couple new connectors or chart options here as well. They have histograms now, so slightly different than your traditional bar chart. So when you're looking at more of a breakdown over a continuous x-axis versus discrete x-axes, you're still able to see things in a bar chart format. And then a couple new chart options. So you're able to create a horizontal bar chart, horizontal stacked, horizontal 100% stacked. So a couple additional options for horizontal bar charts, which, if you'll believe me, actually weren't supported in analytics up till this time. Personally, I prefer vertical bars, but if you do like horizontals, those are in there now. And then last but not least, we mentioned at the beginning, but they do now have a Sage ERP connector for pulling in your data that way. So it's primarily for the accounting suites. I'd imagine they'll be building that out more over time. But the more the merrier when it comes to these connections, being able to pull them into Zoho Analytics.
Yeah, and they built out 75 plus pre-built reports for Sage. So when you connect it up, you're not starting from a blank page anyway. Pretty nice. All righty, and then Zoho ShowTime adds password protection. Boy, we love Zoho ShowTime. It's just really a great app, and you can do the training. You can have online training courses, and you can have online training courses that are, recorded that people can do. You can do them live. So you could not require a PIN code in order for someone to actually get into one of your sessions. So they're kind of adding that little extra layer of security. So password and PIN to kind of really make the I should say the password to make the session just a little extra secure.
And this is one of those ones, every now and then we have an update come out that I just kind of assumed was there.
Yes.
I would have just, if you would have asked me a couple weeks back, does Zoho have password protection on ShowTime? I probably would have assumed yes. So definitely nice to have. You kind of need this, especially with kind of everything being online nowadays. Kind of mirrors what Zoom's doing, where they're requiring you to either have a password or a waiting room for their meetings. Yep. I think a lot of these services are finding that, in the age of everything being remote, these extra security policies are a need to have.
Yeah, it was ShowTime. I'll tell you, we've talked about this over and over again. ShowTime's on our naughty list. It's all the way down in the no. We can't recommend it. And we can only not recommend it for one simple reason. The recording quality on it is awful. It is just so substandard. I actually tested it 2 days ago, Tyler, just to check it one more time. It's just ridiculously bad. It was so bad they turned it off for a while. It may still be off. They did a private thing. They turned it on for us. I don't know if it's on for everyone else yet. And it's just unacceptable. So you really can't do the on-demand training because the recording's so bad that it's just grainy and it looks horrible. Other than that, it's a near flawless product,
just that last little thing that needs to get dialed in there.
Right. Well, it's like you say, I assumed that was there. You assume the recording quality will be there across the board. And it's the same with Zoho Meeting. We see that all the time. I assumed it was there because there's just so many little features they keep adding to Zoho Meeting that we kind of just thought were there already. But it's a bit of a shame because we do our webinars right now in Zoom. And we both prefer ShowTime because ShowTime allows you to control the clicks. So you can just have one up. I can pass the presenter. You actually upload your content into ShowTime. You can have all these different documents and all these things. So you basically can easily switch back and forth between what you're presenting and what you're showing. You can, hand over the presenter, and that person now is controlling the clicks and controlling the PowerPoint and moving it ahead. It's a real pain when you're depending on someone else to flip your slides while you're giving a presentation. It's never as smooth as you would like it to be, although we are telepathically connected, Tyler. But I mean, it's still, even with that, it's hard. It really is. So great job on this, Zoho, but my goodness, please just fix this one issue for us.
We want to come back. We want to be on ShowTime desperately, but we don't want to have to re-record everything that we post over there.
We really do. And this is another, I don't know. So if you guys, if you're listening to the show, you won't appreciate this, but if you're watching the show on YouTube, our video, when we do this, we actually have a slide deck up and we usually put the icons for each of the products we're talking about. So we're now talking about Motivator, which is normally a spaceship which is taking off. I have changed it so that it is crash landing. Motivator is supposed to completely crash, burn, and explode and be end of life. It's dead. You could never use it again on August 31st. They've extended it to November 30th. They're saying because of COVID. I don't know what that would have to do with an end of life on this product or not. And it's a real shame because it's a great product. And no matter what Zoho says, and they keep saying it over and over again, they say, oh, it's all the same. It's not. We put a link in the show notes on this, but shout out to Michelle Carter. She's a Zoho partner. And she basically a couple months ago said, look, I'm going to tell you why it's not the same. And she did a detailed point by point by point thing of what it can't do and why it isn't workable to kill Motivator and just rely on analytics or the CRM to quasi replace it. And you were saying, gosh, we just had a call this week from one of our clients that loves the thing, loves Motivator.
Yeah, so basically what Motivator is, if there's anyone who hasn't really played with it too much, is it's a platform for like KPI and gamification reporting for your sales team. So the common use case for it is, you plug it into the CRM where it has a pre-built integration, and then you can develop all your different KPIs and then display them in a very TV-friendly way. And you can run little contests, you can assign prizes, it creates these little rotating dashboards. And one of the key things with it that makes it unique is that it syncs immediately. So if I have a deal that's closed won, it will show up on the board the next time that the deal page shows up, right? So for a lot of these types of reports, you could back into them in analytics, but the fastest sync you're going to have is a 3-hour sync. Or you could make them on a CRM dashboard for the sales rep to see in their CRM, but then they're only seeing it when they're on that page. And then they are going to be limited to 10 elements on that dashboard where, you're probably going to want to show them a couple lists, a couple different things. It's just one of those odd things to deprecate and get rid of because, they might not have a ton of people using it. I'm sure they're doing it because of the usage might be low.
Yep.
But the people that are using this, there really isn't a replacement product for it. And they're talking about building out more in the game scope in the CRM, which is kind of a little tool you can use to kind of gamify things that you're working on. So you could say if you convert 10 leads, you get a little badge or this, that, or the other. But there isn't that TV ready dashboard that's syncing data live anywhere else in Zoho. So it's kind of a shame because it is really a great app for doing exactly what it does.
And you've built out some beautiful ones. We've only done this for a handful of clients, but still, the ones you built out are beautiful. They've got a big screen TV up and the bulb in it, just giving you real-time analytics as to how they're doing. And you get the person's faces are up there even in the leaderboard, and they're jockeying up and down, and total sales. And it truly is Motivator. That's what it is. It's a sales motivator for teams that are selling live and in real time. And there's just anyway, they've extended it to October 30th. Hopefully it'll get a presidential pardon before November 30th happens. And we'll see what happens. I don't know, but it's too bad. All right, Tyler, that brings us to our implementation of the week. What do we got?
Yes, this is kind of the one that we implement pretty often for people around doing custom quoting or product management in the CRM. So this kind of information we do using subforms. So subforms in the CRM are a way to create little data tables that live inside of a record. So for example, if you're working inside of a deal, you can add a subform to your deal that basically represents your quote table. And the nice thing about subforms is that they can include lookup fields, right? So the first column in your subform could be a lookup where you're going to choose one of your existing products. And then we can pull, the pricing information, the descriptive information from that product directly into the subform. But the reason that we generally end up using subforms to do these is that they're more customizable than the standard CRM quotes are, right? So you can have additional fields for description. You could have two costs, right? So maybe there's a upfront cost and a monthly cost to your product, right? You can pull both of those into a subform. Maybe you want to take a note if there's a couple different products you're implementing for a client and you want to say items A, B, and C are about this, items D, E, and F are about this, right? You can kind of line item everything out with a little bit more control using these subforms. So then what we can do and what we do for a lot of clients is we basically put together a little mail merge document in Zoho Writer where you're able to merge that subform and then send it directly out, either as like a standard quote template or include it later in a proposal or document that will go out for Zoho sign. So they're really powerful little tools, and recently we've been doing a lot of work with them. So I thought I would do kind of a general implementation for those out there that might be kind of fitting a square peg into a round hole with the CRM quoting system. Because again, like it does its job and it can create those basic quotes for you. But if you want to add a little bit more color or context to those quote line items, you can really replicate all the good stuff that the CRM quotes do, and then sidestep a lot of the drawbacks with using the more basic quoting system.
Right. And now one of the advantages you do get with the general quoting system is it's a quote, and you can go ahead and convert that to an invoice down the road, do those kind of things. Although we do have the ability from here to go ahead and create and generate invoices and things like that out of the subform itself. That's kind of taking it to the next level, which is where you're skipping that whole quote process altogether. And then from there, maybe taking it to a sales order so you can still do packing slips and things like that. But from the subform, we can still generate all those things. But great. That's something we do quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, and one of the powerful things too is that you're really able to take these subforms and integrate them with other parts of the CRM. So, for example, one of the ones that we did recently is that once a deal is then marked as closed won, we're writing to a custom module from this subform with a history of all the different products that a certain customer has purchased. So if you're having anything where it's, product where, maybe you're billing monthly, or it's a product that they pay for that you turn on and off, right? You're able to instantly log all of these against your customer account or, customer contact records, and keep a running log in your CRM, of a roll up of all these different products in their own little module that a customer might have purchased from you.
Yes. And we can't talk about subforms without asking Zoho to please do one thing for us. So subforms currently, as you can tell from this implementation of the week, you can write the subform directly into Writer. You can modify it. You can do great things with it. You actually can run reports on subforms. But you can't take a subform and put it into an email, because how slick would that be? If you could do that in this case, you could actually create an entire email template that pulled it in, and someone could just click on that email template and just send it directly to the client without having to go through the whole writer merge and the whole thing. Zoho, please allow subforms to be, integrated into email templates. It would just be the greatest thing in the entire world.
And if we're making asks of Zoho, if they're listening, pull them into Zoho Analytics as well. That would just be so nice. A lot of the times what I have to do is I'll make a script that will write a subform to a custom module just so that it can be pulled into Analytics a little easier. So that would just be wonderful.
Two that was
requests.
Already there. I thought that was already there.
You can do with a lot of things, but not subforms.
That's definitely our show title. Should it be, I thought that was already there? I thought that existed. I thought that was a thing. I don't know. It's these are all things that are they're just baffling, where it's kind of like, come on, we're so close. And subforms are so. Oh, by the way, make them more than 100 rows too. Let's get them out to at least 200-300 rows while we're at it. But anyway, you can't let a moment pass when we talk about subforms without talking about that. On the bright side, we noticed something cool this week. Zoho CRM reports can now be filtered based on territory.
Yes, this one I kind of bumped into. I wasn't really even looking for it, but if you have territory management turned on in your CRM, you used to not be able to do really anything with that. The territories would just be used to show or hide records to people, right, based on where they are in the territory management scheme. But now you can actually go in and filter reports based on territories or sub-territories of a master territory. So much more useful. I mean, you can always get workarounds around this, right? But the problem is that, let's say you have a territory that is, these 5 states and then like these zip codes from California. And then you have another that's the Northern California and then these other states. To then create reports that reflect those territories, you have to copy over all those different criteria. And if you make any updates to your criteria in one place, you got to update them in the other, right? So it kind of becomes a little bit of a management issue where you have to be making changes across the board even if you just make one minor change to your territory. So this is a really, really nice change that they rolled out here that kind of makes these territories a little bit more useful for reporting.
Yeah, it's cool. And just again, I haven't found anything on this, so I don't know if we'll get an
Just
article
snuck it
saying,
in. Yeah, it snuck it
yes,
in. And it was in a client account. So I know that it's not just on beta right now, that
yeah,
we're seeing it in ours. It is out there live in the system.
out there in the rest of the world. All right, and this week's reads, this is kind of cool. Really, CRM buyer, Dennis Pombriant. This guy does some really, really interesting stuff, and he's just got a nice little article on it's still a young CRM market. It's kind of a different read for us, but um, I like to track what's going on in the world of CRMs and where things are going and what's happening. So he's got a really nice, interesting market breakdown here. So it turns out Salesforce is 18.4% of the market. For some reason, I thought they were a heck of a lot more than that. And then SAP 5.3, Oracle 5.2, Microsoft is only 3.7% with Dynamics. And then Adobe, who I didn't even know had a CRM, is at 3.6%. Zoho's not on the list. The interesting thing he's saying is that the runners up have a combined percentage of 17.8, which is less than Salesforce, but that all combined is only 36%. So the other 64% of the market out there is just others. And so he talks about who are the others, and he's thinking about companies like Zoho, who is kind of hard to define because are they a CRM or an ERP or what are they and where they grow and everything that's going right now. But I just thought a nice read on, what's going on, how big this space is. And it honestly still is the wild, wild west out there.
I mean, we see all the time just incredible adoption of these systems of businesses, big and small, kind of across all these different industries, because the one thing everyone has in common is that they have customers ideally, and you want a system that can help you manage them. It is pretty interesting just the amount of small CRM options that you have out there. I mean, even now, it's pretty regular. We'll talk to a new client. We'll be like, hey, we want to migrate from, this CRM. And I've never heard of it, and it's still, even being in this space a long time, you just see more and more and more options, for this type of software.
Yeah, and there's so many niche CRMs and vertical CRMs and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of crazy. And I will tell you, the CRM buyer, if you want to take a look at this, crmbuyer.com, pretty good site. It's got some, he gets paid a lot of times to write about all of these companies, but he doesn't pull any punches. And every time I like what I see here, and it's kind of worth taking a look at. So if you're interested in the world of CRM, what's happening, who's doing what, it's a good site, and I think worth checking out. All righty, and that takes us to what's new on Zenatta.com. Well, a lot. So we've got a couple blogs simplifying online analytics reporting with Zoho Analytics, and then we've got a couple new YouTube videos. We did our Zoho Cliq webinar this week, and so that's now over on YouTube for if you want to do a rewatch of that. And then a question I get asked a lot, so this will be our tip and trick of the week, but we've got a video. We'll talk about this a little more on how to check mass email statistics inside Zoho CRM. It's kind of a hidden thing. And then our new resources guides that we found. These are pretty good. We found one on how to use social media to drive more sales. This is actually a CRM Plus PDF. And since CRM Plus includes Zoho Social, it's kind of got a whole nice little write-up here on how to get the most out of Zoho Social and drive sales that way. It's kind of a short one. And then one for Zoho Creator, which is build a vendor selection app in 60 minutes. So if you want to learn how to use Zoho Creator, well, this is pretty nice, and we'll kind of step you through that entire process. So we continue to find the content, Tyler. We go out and we could find it bit by bit by bit. And then that brings us to our application of the week. Kind of different one I chose here, Tyler. This is Content View plugin for WordPress. And it's just, if you have a WordPress website, this is just a really, really, really nice way to manage your pages and your blog posts, embedded videos, any of those kind of things, and put them on any page and manage them that way. I love it. If you go to check out our website, Zenatta.com, we use it actually all over. So if you're on our homepage and you scroll on down to our latest podcasts and you look at that, that entire section is being managed with content views. If you go to our blog, which has a completely different look and feel, it's kind of got that timeline look with these big cards. That is all handled with this content view plugin as well. If you go to the CRM Zen Show, which has got a completely different look and feel as well, where everything is, kind of accordioned up and you can go all the different shows. Believe it or not, this is all being handled with content views. It is just an extremely powerful application. Our services menu is completely handled with resources menu. We manage that. So when you click into like analytics and you want to look at resources, that's being handled by content views. The filters are being handled by content views. It's just really slick. And so, I was sitting here, I always struggle sometimes, I think, trying to find applications that I can put out here. And, this one's just a winner. And so I thought it would be worth pointing out.
And this is one too that, sometimes these WordPress plugins can make things super slow or janky on the site, but we've never really had any issues with this on our site. Even when we're making changes to other components of the website, this is always rock solid.
Yeah, it's great. It is an annual subscription. So if you just have one site, it's going to cost you $39 per year. Usually when it comes up, though, he'll throw you a 50% discount, those kind of things. So relatively cheap. But if you got a WordPress site, I really recommend it. It's just a really solid plugin. All right. And then that brings us to our tip and trick of the week, which we just have a video on. I mentioned it. It's on the website. You can also find it on our YouTube channel. But it's how to find your statistics for mass emails sent from inside Zoho CRM. And Tyler, I don't know. I think I at least to get asked about this 2 or 3 times a month because people are like, how do I find out what happened to a mass email?
Yeah, and it's kind of in a weird place. It's not exactly where you would think it is,
Yeah, it really is. So to step you through it, you basically, let's say you sent an email out to, 46 people out in a custom view in contacts that you had. Well, if you could just click on contacts in your CRM, you don't have to go to any view will do. Over in the upper right-hand corner, you kind of have those 3 little dots for more. If you click on that, you'll have something that says mass mail. If you click on that, it'll tell you what mass mails are going to be sent, which ones have been sent, which ones are, and basically which ones are scheduled to be sent. So if you go and you look at the ones that have been sent, it'll give you a list of all of them that you've sent, and then you can choose those, and it'll tell you what the bounce rate was, what the delivery rate, the open rate, the unopened, the clicked, and the unclicked, and you can kind of go through that entire thing. And so it's well worth taking a take a look at it. And by the way, you can then drill down from there too. You can click into any of these and then see who did what. But man, it's totally hidden and nobody can ever find it. So I thought it'd just be worth making a brief little tutorial on that.
And one thing to note just about mass emails from the CRM, you are capped at 1,000 per day, 1,000 emails that you can send out per day via the CRM, because they kind of want to push you, if you are doing, large scale marketing, over to campaigns where you have the proper opt out and everything. You can get them if you pay a little extra to bump them up to, I think, about 2,500. But there are some caps around this that I thought I would just kind of highlight as we're talking about mass emails.
Yeah, it's definitely worth pointing that out. And that's why campaigns and Marketing Hub exist in a lot of ways. Plus, the level of reporting that you get over there is much, much deeper than you get in the CRM. It would be nice if they kind of brought some of that in, but you still get relatively decent reporting inside the CRM. They haven't really touched this reporting in at least 3-4 years. It's just been the same. Nothing's really changed on this, but that's how you find out what your mass email statistics are. And with that, that's a wrap for another show. Love to hear from you guys. If you have any comments or suggestions, please reach out to us over at info@zenatta.com or just head over to the website and click on drop us a line.
And on the website is where you'll find complete episodes as well as show notes with links to the stories we discussed today. You can also follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app as well as on YouTube. We'll see you next Monday.